There was a 26-year-old young woman named Elena. Elena lived in a busy city full of noise and rush. Every day, her mind felt crowded. Thoughts about unfinished work, mistakes from the past, and fears about tomorrow filled her head. Even when she sat quietly, her thoughts were loud. She often replayed old conversations in her mind and worried about things that had not even happened yet. Because of this, her heart felt heavy. She smiled less, slept poorly, and felt tired even after resting. One evening, while scrolling on her phone, Elena read about a silent monastery near a lake far from the city. People said a former philosophy professor lived there. He had once taught at a famous university, guiding students through complex ideas about life and happiness. But after many years, he left his successful career and chose a simple life in nature. Visitors sometimes came to him for advice. They said he spoke very little, but his words changed lives. Something inside Elena felt hopeful. She thought, maybe he can teach me how to quiet my mind. After weeks of planning, Elena took leave from work and traveled to the monastery. The journey was long. She crossed highways, villages, and finally a dirt road that led to the peaceful lake. When she arrived, she saw a small wooden cabin near the water. The air was fresh. The wind moved gently through the trees. The professor was sitting on a rock by the lake, watching the water. Elena walked up to him and said, "Sir, my mind never stops. I am always thinking. I want silence inside. Please help me." The old professor looked at her kindly and said, "If you truly want silence, come with me." He handed her a small bowl and said, "Go to the lake and fill this bowl with water. Then carry it back to the cabin without spilling it. But there is one more condition. You must walk slowly and count your breaths while walking." Elena felt confused, but she agreed. She filled the bowl carefully. The water reached the edge. If her hand shook even slightly, it would spill. She began walking back. The ground was uneven. Birds were singing. Leaves were falling. Somewhere in the distance, she heard children laughing. But Elena kept her eyes on the bowl. She whispered softly, 1, 2, 3, counting each breath. Step by step, she walked carefully. Her mind had no space to think about work, mistakes, or the future. All her attention was on the water and her breathing. When she finally reached the cabin, not a single drop had spilled. The professor smiled and asked, "Did you notice how beautiful the lake looked in the sunlight?" Elena shook her head. "No, I was focused on the bowl and my breathing." He nodded and said gently, "That is the lesson. When your attention is steady and your breathing is calm, your thoughts cannot control you. Your mind becomes clear, just like the still lake." Elena stood quietly. For the first time in months, she felt light. There was no noise inside her head. Only calmness. The professor continued, "Your thoughts are like waves. They rise and fall. But you are not the waves. You are the lake beneath them. When you stay in this moment, with your breath, with your step, the storm disappears." Tears filled Elena's eyes, but they were not tears of sadness. They were tears of relief. She realized that peace was never far away. It was hidden behind her restless thinking. That evening, as the sun set over the lake and painted the sky orange and pink, Elena sat quietly and watched the reflection on the water. She was no longer fighting her thoughts. She was simply breathing. The next morning, she returned to the city. The noise was still there. The traffic was still loud. Her responsibilities had not disappeared. But something inside her had changed. Whenever her mind became busy, she paused. She took a slow breath. She focused on the present moment. And slowly, the storm inside her became calm again. Because now she understood. Peace is not found in a different place. It is found in a different awareness. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs calmness today. And remember, real peace begins with one mindful breath.